volley here. We know you're shorthanded. What's your assessment of what you saw?
Well, I don't want to – we're shorthanded. I mean, you're seeing guys make mistakes. The thing that gets me is when you get an older guy making a mistake, or whether it's third down or penalty or something to that effect. That really gets on me. The younger guys are out there battling, and you expect them to grow, but there needs to be growth. This is not for some of those guys out there, this is their third, fourth, and fifth game, and they need to be getting better and not staying the same.
So one guy who's put in a tough spot right away is Cooper Lutz. He's your fifth or sixth running back, and we thought, shoot, you couldn't have asked for a whole lot more out of him for the situation that he was put in, absent Sean Tucker today.
Cooper has been, ever since we moved him back from receiver to running back, I had a conversation with him on the field. I just said, Coop, I'm really proud of the work you've been doing. You stood behind him in August. You stood behind him in September, and you could see he was getting it. He was making us go, you know what, we should have never moved him in the first place. We should have just played him at tailback. But I think the guy's got some natural ability, and I think he can really help us. I think
wound up with 81 yards along of 18 on the day. When you are shorthanded, you can't have penalties and turnovers. How do they creep up?
Well, they creep up because you got young people in there. They're not doing exactly what they're supposed to do, or the timing's off, and then a mishap happens. A guy breaks off a route that doesn't supposed to break off a route, or the ball doesn't go where it's supposed to go, or you get a twist, you get an ET twist, and the guy hits you, and the ball comes out, and and the ball's on the ground. The other team gets it. It's those things that are really frustrating.
You elected to go with Jacobian Morgan for the last couple of series. He is able to take an 80-yard possession late in the game with some high percentage passes in there. How about an evaluation of what you saw out of him?
I'm glad he didn't fumble the snap. I'm glad that it looked like he could throw the football. But again, I wouldn't put too much stock on that. That's the end of the game. We're running out the clock on ourselves, and those guys are giving him those throws. I'm pretty sure he didn't get blitzed. I'll go back and check the tape. But that's like throwing 7-on-7. That's not like a real football game. But he did – someone said to me he did what he was supposed to do. If someone was going to play that defense and play that style, you would expect him to go in there and be able to complete a lot of balls. And if I'm not mistaken, he did. I can't remember one hitting the ground if there was an incomplete.
Right. On one play, he did have some evasive action out to the left and was able to extend the play to keep it going, and then had the touchdown pass to Luke Benson. Coach, we'll just leave on this, and I know you don't want to get wheels turning and thinking about quarterback changes going to next week and all that, but I think fans that duck in on these games every week, they want reason to be optimistic and hopeful. What do you have in your mind about how far off that type of thing is, like a Jacobian? What's the gap, I guess, from where he is now to where he could come in and start developing for the last third of the season?
But what you got to do is you got to change, and you got to cut back, which makes yourself extremely simple, and you got to start weighing the positives versus the negatives, which that's all that stuff is down the road. Right now, I'm more concerned about certain things that didn't happen in that game, and meeting the challenge and having a letdown, and I'm not happy.
Let down from Clemson to this game, you mean?
Yes, sir.
And you saw that Clemson had its hands full. Last check here, they took the lead late. Looks like they're just barely going to beat BC. So BC, right now it's 32-28. BC gave Clemson all they wanted today. BC is a good football team, and we've got a good football team coming in here next week, and we've got to find a way to regroup. All right, Coach, thanks. We'll hear from you again on Monday.
Thank you, Matt.
Orange head coach Dino Babers there, Brian.
Thanks, Matt. We're going to start with Mario Sacco from WSYR TV today, Coach.
Okay.
Coach, Matt touched on it just a little bit, though, but how seriously do you have to take a look at your quarterback position and moving forward with, only a handful of games left?
You got to look at every position with a handful of games left. The one thing that I'm always going to do is I'm going to always try to play for a winning season. And the best way to have a winning season is have as many upperclassmen as you can, because those guys care more about winning than anyone else. No one wants to go out on a bad note. We're sitting at 1-6 now with 4 games left, and we're going to continue to make evaluations on this football team and try to be not only win football games, but continue to find out who's the best guys on the team so that we know that we're doing the right things going down the stretch.
Thanks, Coach.
Next, we're going to go to Matt Hausworth from WSCM.
Hey, Coach, I wanted to ask you about True Williams and Sean Tucker. When did you know that they wouldn't be able to play in this game?
Oh, it was early. It was early. I was trying to keep it in the dark so that, Wake Forest couldn't get a practice advantage on us. But Tucker was one of those guys, he maybe could have went and all that kind of stuff. And the kid, but I just got tired of seeing him come out of games. And, the kid has really given us our all. He's at a position where we're really, really thin, and yet he's been saving the day. And I just felt like, just hold him out and let him get healthy again. He's done enough. And hopefully we can see him full speed down the stretch here without him going in and coming out throughout the game. And then Trill really came down with some illnesses. And he was battling it all week, and he was banged up anyway. So the combination, the illness and not being able to practice with him being banged up, it just seemed like the right thing to do. The one thing that I always want to make a point of is that, I want to treat these guys like they're my stepsons. I won't say my kids because I've got 4 daughters, but like they're my stepsons. And I sit in front of those living rooms. I sit in those living rooms with those moms and dads, and I tell them that I'm going to take care of their kids. And sometimes I need them to go, and sometimes, even though they may want to go, the best thing for them is not to go. It's a very physical game, and you want to have all your stuff to protect yourself. You want to have all your tools to protect yourself out there, especially when you're a running back or you're a defensive back like that. So those guys will get better, and hopefully we'll have them next week.
Thanks very much, Coach. Next, we're going to go to Dan Tortora.
Coach, kind of going off of that, when Rob Hanna went down on the field, you were there with him, kneeling next to him for a few minutes. Just what you can say about, your care for this team, and even though the season is going the way it's going, just what you can say about leadership and how important these kids are to you and how important it is for you to carry them forward.
Leadership is huge. And with the Rob Hanna thing, I mean, it's interesting because me and Rob got some history when 2020 all started, but I absolutely love the young man. And I literally was totally locked in on the play that he got hurt. I know exactly what happened to him. And I was actually out there telling the trainers, this is what happened. This is the head. This is where it was. And I'm not a medical doctor, but I've seen a lot of football. And, I felt when I walked out there, based off of what I saw, that he would be okay. And thank God he was. But he's really out there giving it his all. He's dripping wet. He doesn't weigh very much. But that's today. Someday he's going to weigh a whole bunch, and he's going to be a mover and a shaker back there. But I'm really proud of him and Jihad and Smurf and the way – and even Garrett. Sometimes we forget how young he is, because he's playing so well, but I'm really proud of how those young people are playing back there.
Thanks, Coach.
Mm-hmm.
Next, we're going to go to Adam Hillen from the Daily Orange.
Hey, Coach, what went into the decision to not play Jacobian until about, I think it was 7 minutes left in the fourth quarter? And, and what did you see out of Rex that you wanted to leave him in the game, keep him in there?
Well, first of all, we're still trying to win the game. And with Rex, we have our entire offense, So you got to understand that when you're a senior and you got a chance to win the game, you don't want to see a bunch of young guys. There's so many young guys out there already that are playing hard, making mistakes, getting better, that when you do that at quarterback, it really limits what you're going to do. I mean, Jacobian had success in the fourth quarter, and he went out there and did what he was supposed to do, and we're proud of that. I'm happy for him. But I'm pretty sure he didn't face a blitz. I'm pretty sure he didn't face an overload. I'm pretty sure he didn't have a check. And those are the things that quarterbacks have to do for you to be able to run your offense. So, we're happy. We're glad he did it. But that's the reason why we didn't put him in, because we couldn't do all those things.
All right, time for 2 more questions. We're going to go to Stephen Bailey from 247 Sports, Coach.
Hey, Dino, I kind of wanted to ask what you've allowed Jacobian to do in practice the last couple of weeks with your reps, and if maybe that changes to give him an opportunity to show you what he can do with the blitz and show you what he can do in maybe some of the tougher situations.
We're gonna go back and we're gonna look at the tape, and based off the tape, we'll be able to make some decisions.
And the last question is going to go to Christian de Guzman from Noon's Magician.
Hey, Dino, it seemed like the defense actually played well in the middle of that first half, forcing 3 straight punts from Wake Forest. But then in the second half, that one drive where all the penalties happened seemed to really derail the momentum that the defense had. How important are those limiting those penalties? How frustrating is it as a coach when you see that?
The penalties are big. They were both young people. There was one that was a face mask, a hand to the face mask. It was a hand to the face mask. And then there was another one where there was a hold, and there was a hold. And both the individuals are young. And it's disappointing because without those penalties, I really believe that one doesn't get in the end zone. And you don't have to give good offenses. You don't have to spot them first downs or penalties like that to get them moving. And you're not going to be good football teams if you give them stuff like that.
Thank you very much, Coach. That concludes our questions for Coach Babers today.